Hello and welcome to the AMP podcast. My name is James Mentor with Buckeye Media Services. Joining me around the table here, your host, the Doctor of Real Estate, Mark Dandrea, and Justin Humphreys of Humphreys Homes. The AMP podcast covers everything about real estate, real life, and anything and everything in between. A show for buyers, sellers, builders, investors. The podcast is also designed to help new real estate agents or marketers of real estate services and marketers of home services, whether you're new to the industry or you're already involved, maybe even a Red One Realty agent. But even if you're not a Red One Realty agent, I think you'll find a lot of very helpful information, not just what's shared between these two gentlemen here at the table, but certainly with some guests that we'll have joining us from different aspects within the real estate and home services realm. And the AMP podcast is an extension of the AMP program through Red One Realty, one of our sponsors. And the AMP program, that's the Agent Mentorship Platform. If you want more information on that, you can just go to the website, agentmentorshipplatform.com. Sponsors for the AMP podcast, Griffith Insurance Group, Vault Title, and Red One Realty. We'll hear more from those in the commercials throughout the show. This week's episode, the best gift ever. We'll have more on that before the end of the show. Right now, let me introduce you to your hosts, Mark Dandrea, the Doctor of Real Estate, and Justin Humphreys with Humphreys Homes. Gentlemen, let's come right out of the gate and just share some of your information with the audience, please.
Thanks for that introduction, James. I appreciate it. I'm Mark Dandrea with Red One Realty, the Doctor of Real Estate. You can reach me or text me at 614-395-6275. And my email address is drofrealestate1@gmail.com.
And Justin?
Yes, my name is Justin Humphreys. I am the founder of Humphreys Homes at Red One Real Estate. I'm also one of the leaders of the AMP team, the Agent Mentorship Platform at Red One Realty. You can find me at Humphreys Homes on Facebook, at Humphreys_Homes on Instagram, and my number is 740-275-1277.
Now, every week we will have a very concentrated focus on being able to help those who are listing agents and even home buyers, home sellers, investors, builders, etc., with a lot of the content that we're going to provide. But along the way, every week, we are going to kind of peel back the onion, pull back the curtains, if you will, give you some insights to who we are, especially our host, Mark and Justin here, about some of the things that they have going on in their life, some of their interests, so that you get to know them a little bit better. So I'm going to start with an icebreaker for today's show. I'm looking at who your favorite actor or actress is, and maybe your favorite movie that they're in.
It's got to be, for me, and it's hard, favorites are very difficult, but it's got to be Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday in Tombstone.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite roles for him.
That's a good one.
He crushed it.
That's a really, really good one. I'd have to say favorite character would probably be Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's kind of they kind of pulled that character from a couple of different historical actual actors, but he really leans into Burt Reynolds in his career. And
I'll be darned.
Yeah, it's a very funny and good rendition.
That's a good one. That's a great movie.
A great movie. Love that movie.
So do I.
I remember seeing Leonardo DiCaprio the very first time, What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I thought he was a special needs person the way he did that role. Same weekend, I watched him in that and then Basketball Diaries, and I think it's called Stepdad with like Robert De Niro, I do believe. But I watched all three of them the same weekend. And my favorite actor has a tie-in with Leonardo DiCaprio. I like Tom Hanks, who in Catch Me If You Can, I thought that was a great movie, but my favorite Tom Hanks movie is probably Forrest Gump. I love the history of that. I thought he did a fantastic job.
Forrest Gump's a great movie.
You ask us about favorites and all these great movies come up.
There's so many. We might need to switch to favorite genre, but one of my favorite Tom Hanks performances that doesn't get a lot of shining light is Road to Perdition.
Oh,
one of his more serious roles. It's tough to see him in kind of a tough, serious role, but man, he really plays it. He does everything really well. He's great.
What kind of sparked that was I saw the new Superman coming out, obviously. Made me think about who I liked as my favorite Superman. I did see some old black and whites, but I grew up watching Christopher Reeve. So real quick, who's your favorite Superman?
I have two. Christopher Reeves as the original Superman in the movies. And then I'm just old enough to have seen a lot of the reruns where George Reeves was the original Superman. So those are my two favorites. I can't even think of the other dudes that have played Superman, and you guys are all over it. Justin?
Well, when I was growing up, the one that I saw the most of on TV, especially in the morning, like getting ready for school, the one that was always on was Dean Cain on TV with Superman and Lois Lane. But Henry Cavill would probably be my number one, just because I've been through the arc of his stay as Superman, which he's gone now. I like going back and watching the 70s Superman series. Christopher Reeves, obviously incredible. Great story there too with him. So Dean Cain, I think Henry Cavill's number one. Dean Cain would be number three, and Christopher Reeves would be my number two. So those would be my top three.
Yeah, Reeves for me for sure. Cavill or Cavell, I like him. TV-wise, Dean Cain. And then I even like the guy that they had for the Smallville series.
Well, what I'm excited about, James Gunn has brought new life to Marvel and DC Comics. He's a comic lover. I think the studios have gotten in their own way a lot, and especially with DC. They had the whole DCEU thing that kind of crashed, and they're putting that to the side and rebooting it with this new Superman movie. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the plate, and I think it'll be a lot of comic book accurate and history accurate lore for Superman. So,
well, I personally am excited to see a new version and a new storyline with Superman and the trilogies probably that will follow with the new guy. All right, let's get in and talk some AMP business. It is the AMP podcast, and part of that is being associated, tied to, and to educate you guys on and share information about the Agent Mentorship Platform, which you can also go to the website, agentmentorshipplatform.com. So for those listening for the first time, let's give them some insights as to what AMP is all about, what's on the horizon, some of the training tools, how you guys help to prepare agents that are new to Red One Realty going through the AMP program, and how it sets them up for success. Mark, let's just have you start us off.
So moving forward, James, in 2025, and frankly, we started this at the beginning of 2024. As we have mentioned in previous episodes, AMP's been around for over 30 years. This is not something that, we just came up with. We didn't reinvent any wheels. The Agent Mentorship Platform was established specifically to assist both new and experienced agents to grow, market, maintain, and sustain a business using time-tested concepts that have been around since people have been in business for themselves. So in 2025, what you're going to see a lot more of from the leaders of AMP is a lot more digital marketing, a lot more engagement on social media. We already have meetings on 2 Thursdays a month, 4 Tuesdays a month, a Saturday. And of course, individually, we have 7 leaders, and all of us individually coach agents as well. But I think you're going to see an extraordinary expansion of AMP as, we'll call it an institution, growing outside of Red One, certainly offering our services to any broker or any agent from any other broker that wishes to engage in AMP. And we're looking forward to seeing how our additional engagement changes the lives of agents, even if they've been around for a while. There was a really good example. There's a young lady who joined AMP about 3 months ago, very successful agent. And we talked. We usually interview those that want to join the AMP team, just to see where they're coming from, where their head is, where they're headed, what their vision is in real estate. This particular agent had just reached a period of time in their business where they had come to a slow point. And with just a little bit of engagement with what we train on, what we coach on every day, their business in a short, scant 60 days has been reinvigorated. She is doing well again. And I think that if we had her in here, which we probably will on a future episode, she would tell you that it was just the engagement with the leaders of AMP that kind of reminded her of some of the things that made her successful to begin with. And sometimes that's all it takes. I hope that answers your question. I'm not sure if I did.
No, absolutely. That's all good. Justin, I know that with the AMP program, even for people that are not involved directly with Red One Realty, you have something very unique. They can come in and get a feel for it by auditing some of the classes that you offer. Can you share, some of the training that's coming up, maybe some opportunities that might exist? Again, even if they're not a Red One Realty agent, but they might want to find out. Maybe they're looking for a broker and they want to see, well, what are the resources? How do you guys handle your training? What does that look like? Can you share some of that with us, please?
Yeah. So we are extending an invite to any agent that wants to come and audit one of the bi-monthly training sessions on Thursday nights at our Westerville office at the Red One Realty office at 921 East Wind Drive. That's Thursday night on the second and fourth Thursday of the month from 6 to 7 p.m. Any agent from any brokerage, from Red One, from anywhere, even if they're not a licensed agent, they're just maybe curious about getting into the business, they're welcome to come and sit with us and audit our training sessions during those times. Some examples of things that we cover and go over during those training sessions. Tonight we trained on how to build, maintain, and grow your sphere of influence. Last week we talked about building and making sure that you are visible on the appropriate profiles as far as social media and IDX websites like Realtors, Zillow, and Trulia.com. So we train on everything. As Mark mentioned, the AMP tools that he's been employing for over 30 years, there's about 24 of them. And we rotate those. We emphasize the certain ones that our agents feel are more important based on what they're experiencing in their business at that particular time. So there's a wide range of tools that we train on, and any agent is welcome to come and sit in on those trainings on the second and fourth Thursday of the month.
Excellent. Thanks for that. It is the AMP Podcast. This week's episode is titled The Best Gift Ever. More on that before the end of the show. Want to encourage you, if you're listening, to like, subscribe, follow us on your favorite podcast platforms. And please tell your family, tell your friends, anybody that might be looking to buy, sell, build, or even invest in real estate in the weeks ahead or in the months ahead to tune in. Maybe there's something that we're going to share on any given week that might help them to save money, give them a resource, a connection, maybe set them up with a vendor, maybe one of the guests that we have on the show share something of value that benefits them or you. Now, every week we're talking about marketing of real estate services, marketing of home services. Again, we'll be sharing some tips about things that you can do as a professional to get better, to improve upon your services for your clients. Maybe if you're brand new to the industry, maybe find some industry secrets that help you to cut some corners. And I don't say cut corners in a cheap way, but save you time and money. Let's throw something out there for those that are listening that are agents, maybe getting into the field, maybe just brand new, getting your feet wet. Let's talk about some marketing things that new agents or existing agents should be mindful of, or things that you talk about during the AMP training. Just to allow the agents that are out in the field to super serve their clients when it comes to marketing real estate services and marketing home services. What are the top three things that come to mind for you, Justin?
Always, number one would be always being of assistance. Number two would be anything home. Always being of assistance means that we're happy to help in any way, shape, or form that we can, whether that's maintaining the home that they currently own, buying, selling, building, or investing in a home or a property. Anything home, which is, hey, if you've got a problem from roof to foundation, we've got a referral for you. We've got a process to help you with whatever you're experiencing. And then the third thing would be being an effective marketer of real estate services. And you've heard us talk about the marketer of real estate services a lot during this podcast. It's something that Mark Dandrea instills in all of us as professionals. And I had struggled with the concept for a while. What does he mean when he says that? Why does he keep saying that? And it clicked with me one day that we don't sell houses. We don't sell anything. We sell our services. And a lot of those times it's marketing your real estate that you're trying to buy, sell, build, or invest in. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes. Mark, anything you want to add?
Justin handled that very, very well. And the reason we focus on marketing of real estate services. James, there's a lot that goes into buying, selling, investing, owning a home, and we are not involved in our customers, clients, family, and friends' lives from a real estate perspective only at the time when they decide to buy or sell. That's not what we do. Justin said it earlier. I don't think either he or I could recall the last time we sold a house. Sounds silly for a person in real estate to say that, but we're not selling houses. We are assisting people to purchase a place that they want to call home. Same thing with listing and selling a home. So I think it has to do with having the overarching perspective that if you, as a member of the public, have a question about your home prior to, during, or after you have purchased it, that's what we want to be there for. We're not just going to show up and ask you for business. That's not what this is about. This is about being of assistance.
I know in previous episodes and in the weeks that we've been together and talking about everything, specifically with AMP and some of the training is involved, and obviously there's some that are out there that are getting not trained properly or just jumping in and not even applying what they need to know or what they should be trying to learn to become better professionals in this space. But as it relates to AMP, a lot of great tools and resources that are available. What other things, market data, trends, other tools, professional organizations that they might be involved with, marketing, network groups, etc. What are some of those things that everybody should be looking at, or if they're just getting into the industry, that they should be aware of, that this is some of the stuff they should be doing to give themselves the best opportunity to be successful as a marketer of real estate services or a marketer of home services?
Well, James, every licensed agent in the state of Ohio is a member of the not all of them are members of the National Association of Realtors, but the majority of agents that are licensed in the state of Ohio, they're certainly a member of the Ohio Association of Realtors. In all likelihood, they're a member of the Columbus Board of Realtors, and most of us are members of the National Association of Realtors. All of those agencies put out a monthly bulletin. They keep us very updated as it relates to changing laws, ethics. We are constantly being educated as real estate professionals and marketers of real estate services to ensure that we're within the law. We're treating all of our clients and customers with honesty, integrity. We owe them certain fiduciary responsibilities, and that is pushed quite a bit by those organizations. And on top of that, the biggest one is our broker. Red One Realty communicates constantly about the changes in the market. So as it relates to real estate related things, those are three resources. We have a system called List Reports, which is a very valuable system that tracks statistics nationally. I think if you asked a member of the public, they would go to a Zillow or a Realtor.com or a Redfin. So there's a lot of data out there. What we do as marketers of real estate services is kind of separate the wheat from the chaff, help our clients fully understand the market that we're in, the market that we might be headed into, and help them also understand a market that may be over with. So I hope that's helpful. That's certainly more agent-centric as an answer. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, and obviously in my world of marketing and advertising, other tools and things I'm always thinking about are what are we doing, or what would you be doing, or what do you suggest and recommend to keep them in front of potential prospective clients on a weekly, monthly, annual basis. I know I get stuff, ironically, from a friend of mine who is now a Red One Realty agent. Now I get posts, social media posts, emails, not intrusive, just, staying in front of me, which is fantastic. But things like newsletters. I know you both have newsletters, I do believe, right?
Justin?
Oh, yeah. Well, Mark inspired me with his newsletter to get started with mine. Mark, you've been mailing a physical newsletter for how many years?
22 years.
Yeah. So Mark and his wife sit down on Sunday night and they go through a big folder of past clients, and they mark down who they're sending their newsletter out to, and they have a whole process, and it's very impressive. They mail it out every month, and I do a newsletter, but mine is digital. and I send it out, and it's interactive and incorporates links to all my socials, and it's got a recipe on it, and it's got some culture stuff similar to how our podcast is. It's got market related stuff. It's got a quiz where you can win a gift card. So yeah, the newsletter is an effective way that I use to keep in touch with my sphere of influence once a month, every month.
Mark is one of few, very few, and I can count them on one hand, 5 friends that I know that are involved with real estate that, are constantly in front of me, giving me magnets that I can put on my fridge for the sports season, and I just see their face, their names, etc. Mark, his email newsletters, and just dropping a message, or he and I texting back and forth sometimes, just a holiday greeting, happy holidays, brother, whatever that is. But that's so very important, being in the right place at the right time, not being intrusive, but just being there as a friend to have conversations with. That goes a long way.
Yeah, that's right. I should have asked you if about you're on the receiving end of the newsletter. Right. So
yeah, simple, easy. So many other tools that are out there, but just to stay in front seems like that's a no-brainer and an automatic that everybody needs to have something. And it could be like the joke of the day. You could tie it in. It doesn't even have to be all about real estate by no means, but just the fact that they see you, they know you, they get to like you. It's the whole know, like, trust thing, right?
There's a personal touch to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I do appreciate it, even with the way it's handled. Sending me the football schedule on a magnet with your name on it. I'm cool with that. Or the newsletters, not intrusive, just saying hi, sharing some information.
Well, and I appreciate you saying it. Sharing the love, though. The AMP, the agent mentorship platform, AMP agents all do an outstanding job of staying in touch with folks. And the newsletter is just one resource to do that. And look, it's a minimum item. We want to stay in front of you and let you know that we're there to help you no matter what. We've had clients call us for roofers, basement folks, structural engineers, window people, carpet, flooring folks, trim carpenters. It goes on and on. So.
And Justin, both of you, I know that within the AMP program, you guys talk about that all the time. What is it that they can do to get in front of prospective clients and or stay amongst their friends, et cetera. So can you give us some examples of some of those things that you guys do talk about during the AMP training outside of the newsletter? Anything else?
Well, the one we did tonight was all about sphere of influence. So growing, engaging, maintaining your sphere of influence is very important in our business. It's the core of our business, actually. Your sphere is the people that know, like, and trust you, and that are more inclined to refer you when they are out and about in the world and they hear somebody that needs real estate services. So we were training on how to engage with those people, how to identify those people, and how to maintain a relationship with those people. And Mark's example of his mailed newsletter is a perfect example of that. Between a newsletter, a birthday greeting, a newsletter is 12 touches a year, a birthday greeting is once a year, important holidays, maybe 6 or 7 touches a year. Reaching out to them on special occasions through social media is probably an additional. So these are, you're touching and staying in front of these people 50, 60, 70 times a year, which helps keep you top of mind with them when one of those drivers of the real estate market happens, a marriage, a death, a birth, a divorce, a changing of jobs, so that's an example of what we were training on just tonight, actually, before we came to the meeting.
Well, that stuff goes a long way. Again, if you're getting the football schedule in front of somebody, or you're posting things and talking about stuff going on in the community, being a resource for other things, and they don't look at you other than a friend, and they know that what you do is real estate services and or marketing of home services. And when the time is right, that'll make sense. But it's those little things that you do to stay in front of them.
Well, shout out to Sheila Howe, one of our other AMP leaders, because she does a great job through her social media presence of highlighting local community events, especially in the Newark area where she lives and does a lot of her business in.
Well, high five, Sheila. Good job out there. All right, you are listening to the AMP podcast. It is an extension of the AMP program through Red One Realty, the agent mentorship platform. If you want more information on that, you can just go to agentmentorshipplatform.com. Our sponsors, Griffith Insurance Group, Vault Title, and Red One Realty. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk about some daddy-daughter or mommy-daughter date nights. Or in my case, we do daddy-mommy-daughter date nights sometimes, so you get all three of us to go out. And right after the break, we are going to talk about important documentations and making sure you're dotting the I's, crossing the T's, how very valuable that is at closing and even before you get to closing, just to make sure everybody's on the same page, nothing gets missed, because that could get real hairy real quick. Thanks for listening to the AMP podcast. We'll be right back.
Hi, guys. Today's episode is sponsored by Vault Title. At Vault Title, they know your home is more than just four walls. It's your investment, your future, and your dream. With our dedicated team of experts, we provide secure, reliable title and closing services that protect your most valuable asset. From the first handshake to the final signature, Vault Title is here every step of the way, making sure your closing is seamless and stress-free. Vault Title, protecting your dream, safeguarding your future. When it comes to title services, trust that team that puts you first. Vault-title.com. That's VAULT-TITLE.com.
Red One Realty, an independent brokerage founded in 2019, is redefining what it means to support agents. With nearly 1,000 agents already on board, Red One Realty offers an unbeatable combination of value and opportunity, helping agents close more deals while keeping more of their hard-earned commissions. Red One Realty sets itself apart by its commitment to exceptional training, cutting-edge technology, and unmatched support. From intensive boot camp training to Survive and Thrive training series and the Next Level Agent Mentorship Program, they provide the tools and guidance to help agents grow their business. Plus, with the multiple layers of management always ready to assist, you'll never feel like you're navigating the real estate world alone. Discover why so many agents are choosing Red One Realty to take their career to new heights at joinredonerealty.com. That's joinredonerealty.com.
The Griffith Insurance Group. They're more than just a family business. They're your family safety net. With over 34 years of combined experience, Scott and Jason know everyone is different. That's why they take the time to understand individual situations and craft their coverage that gives you peace of mind. Whether it's protecting your home, your vehicle, or your business, they're here to ensure that you're covered. At the Griffith Insurance Group, they're not just a father-son team. They're trusted partners in safeguarding your future. Experience the difference of a family-focused approach. Contact the Griffith Insurance Group today and let them help you secure your tomorrow. 740-936-4686 is the phone number, and online at griffithinsurance.net. That's GRIFFITHINSURANCE.net.
Welcome back to the show. It is the AMP podcast, the show that is about everything real estate, real life, and anything and everything in between. We cover a lot of stuff for anybody who's looking to buy, sell, build, or even invest in real estate. Talking about real estate services, the marketing of real estate services, the marketing of home services. Trying to provide you with some valuable resources and information if you're in the industry, becoming a real estate agent. Maybe just getting your feet wet. Maybe you're looking for a broker. There's a lot of things that we'll cover with all of that. Some of that directly relates to Red One Realty and the AMP program that they have, the Agent Mentorship Platform, which you can go to agentmentorshipplatform.com and learn more about that as well. And again, thanks to our sponsors, Vault Title, Griffith Insurance Group, and Red One Realty. One of our goals every week is to make sure we're just giving you some valuable information, some resources, things that are going to help you to be successful. Hopefully saving you some time and money, and in some cases, protecting you and helping you to protect the clients that you serve. One of those things that is extremely important in this industry is documentation and making sure you're dotting the I's, crossing the T's, doing all the right things. So, Justin, let's talk about documentation for a second.
Yeah, there's a ton of documentation that kind of, I wouldn't say goes on behind the scenes, but lots of disclosures that we are required to have our buyers and sellers sign and acknowledge that has a lot of valuable information on it. Examples of that, now this is deep cut stuff for the agents out there that are listening, but examples of that would be the consumer guide, which explains the agency relationships that agents can have with buyers and sellers. the buyer advisory that I call the vocabulary test of a real estate transaction. It highlights all the important terms related to a real estate transaction. Obviously, the hot ticket item over the past few months has been this buyer representation agreement that has become a requirement as an outcome of the NAR settlement that has taken place this past August. So those are a few. Obviously, we've got our tried and true residential property disclosure and agency disclosure as well, and then the contract. But those are all documents that we need to stay compliant in the state of Ohio. And they're also documents that our brokerage keeps a very close eye on through the software we use called Dotloop, which is our electronic signature software. Our brokerage ensures that we have every single document we need to have to stay compliant within the state of Ohio. And they're very, very good at that. And that's a shout out to our admin team. Heather and Sam and Bob Talons and those that work behind the scenes. Sorry, I rambled there a little bit, Mark. You probably have more to add.
I don't think you rambled at all. If anybody rambles, I ramble. Look, James, prior to, I think it was 1992, somebody that listening to this will correct this. Bill Thompson, forgive me if I get this wrong. He's a good friend, real estate attorney of mine. I think 1992 was the introduction of buyer brokerage representation. Prior to that, real estate was more of the Wild West. I remember my mother looking for our new home in Forest Park West in 1975, and she was going around with a friend of hers who had their license. And I think the contract was probably 2 pages long. I don't recall, and I may be totally wrong, I don't know if there was a property disclosure form. I'm not sure if there was a lead-based paint form, but the documentation that's required to protect the parties that are involved is critical. It should be looked over very carefully. We advise our clients on the contract, the residential property disclosure form, the lead-based paint form if it exists. There's a lead-based paint pamphlet where everyone needs to understand that if a house was built before January of 1978, that home, in all likelihood, at one point was painted with lead-based paint. So there's a lot that goes into a transaction that if you're outside of the business, a member of the public, those documents become hyper important to them. And certainly, if you're not in our business, you're unaware of those. Take that just to one other level. If folks are out there investing on their own without the advice of a professional, some of that stuff is going to be skipped or missed for sure. And it is a very easy way to get yourself in trouble as an unlicensed person, a party to the transaction. We want to protect people. We want them to understand that this is, obviously it's a very big deal to them. They're investing hundreds of thousands of dollars. We want to protect folks, and documentation is a critical piece of that. We make it easy. It is electronic. We go over all the documents with our clients. Justin said it best. I think, obviously, documentation is important. We've automated some of it. We're trying not to use a lot of paper, but there's a lot of paperwork involved, and that needs to be handled properly so everybody understands. In our business, you call it a meeting of the minds. The parties have to have a meeting of the minds. If it's not in writing, there's no meeting of the minds. No handshake agreements exist in this business, or at least they shouldn't.
I took a real estate class in college.
Good for you.
Some of that was covered.
I love it.
But I enjoyed it. But not everything that you mentioned. So I'm sure things have changed. But how often do you dial in? And do you have a class that's specifically for documentation just to really drive that home?
Yeah, every bit of the transaction process that has a document that's associated with it, we train on all of them. From top to bottom, our agents fully understand what every document means, what it says, how it affects their client in a particular situation. And obviously we're proud of that. And it is just one of the things that I think folks don't understand about being a marketer of real estate services. You must be on top of that. Again, we've said it before, but we owe our clients accountability, confidentiality, obedience, as long as they don't ask us to do anything illegal, loyalty, and full disclosure. And those ethical fiduciary guidelines are very important to the members of the AMP team and all licensed real estate agents.
I shudder to think about how many people that did the for sale by owners in the late 80s, early 90s, and how many mistakes that they paid for 20, 30 years down the road because they chose not to have representation by an agent to help guide them through that process.
Generally speaking, we don't find out a lot about those things until our title company, Vault Title, or whatever title company is involved, finds an issue on the transfer of the property. So a lot of that stuff gets revealed there. But frankly, the rest of it is just a matter of, this is a harsh term, but a matter of ignorance. A person won't know whether or not something exists unless it's in writing and it's got a document associated with it. Handshake deals should be a thing of the way distant past.
I'll never forget, heartbreaking lesson learned through my parents, but after they thought they had paid off their house, come to find out there was something that was missed from 25 years ago, dealing through, the paperwork, whether it was through the title company, the bank, or whatever. I'm not sure, and I don't know if they ever found out the right answer, but they tried to fight it. I don't know what the end result was on that, but I know that they had to pay something. I had to pay more because of a hidden lien or something on the house once they thought they were paying it off. But it helped me to make sure that I'm dotting my I's and crossing my T's, that's for sure.
Both Justin and I are leaning into the mic right now. We want to just jump all over that. That is a title agency issue. And if you have an owner's title policy, that may have been something that's covered. But in general, if it's not of public record at the time of the closing and not enough eyeballs have been on the process, stuff like that does get missed. Unrecorded liens are an issue, and there is a way that we can address a lot of those, and they are addressed at closing. So if you've got an outstanding agent, an outstanding title company, and two folks that are being ethical and meaningful in the transaction, those things can be avoided, and having an agent is the best way to do that.
So, yeah, let me just say, so if you don't have an agent yet, I think the days of people trying to sell their own houses, hopefully that's gone away, because there's just so many things that you can get in trouble financially and other ways by not having someone to properly guide you through the process. So by all means, take advantage of at least meeting with Justin or Mark or a Red One Realty agent. They're more than glad to sit down and have a conversation with you if you're looking to buy, sell a home. In the process, you don't have an agent, you're looking for one, just stop in. I'll even give you what's the address for Red One Realty there in Westerville, Mark?
921 Eastwind Drive, Suite 102, Westerville, Ohio, 43081.
So, yeah, stop in, ask to talk with Mark Dandrea or Justin Humphreys. Tell them that you were listening to the AMP podcast with James and Mark and Justin, and that you got a question. Or maybe you're looking for an agent. I guarantee you someone will take time, but it is vitally important that you have an agent to work with. I would tell you that even if I wasn't doing this podcast with these guys right now.
Yeah, I've got a transaction I'm doing right now, actually, where and this is in Jefferson County where I grew up, but guy lives on a property. There's 2 vacant lots next door to him. He wants to purchase those 2 lots from a person that owns it that does not live nearby. So they reach out to me. I want to buy these 2 lots that are adjacent to mine. I say, okay, great. I'll contact the owner. I found the owner. I contacted them. They said, great, I'll sell it to him. We go into contract. We start the title process, which to kind of touch on the issue that your parents had with that property, title companies will do what's called a title abstract, where they go back at a minimum 40 years to reveal any assessments or liens or encumbrances or clouds that are on those titles, which is what should have happened during that process and may have avoided the issue that your parents had. But during this title search on these lots that I have in contract now, it was revealed that there's multiple liens on these lots in the amount of $4,500 or $5,000. That both lots need a survey, new PIN survey, which is about $1,500 per lot. So again, if these 2 parties would have tried to do this on their own and made a handshake deal or whatever, they would have run into a load of issues down the road. Hopefully we'll be able to get this negotiated and resolved, but it's just an example of how important it is to have the right people in place when these are some big investments that you're making, whether you're purchasing a vacant lot or a home that you're going to live in for the next 10 or 15 or 20 years. It's a huge investment. You need to take the time and the effort to make sure it's done properly.
Public service announcement. James was not paid to say all that earlier. Thank you, James.
Well, again, I would hope in this day and time that there are fewer and fewer people that are trying to do the for sale by owner. I mean, you hear all the marketing ploys with some of the ridiculous commissions that might be out there, and maybe those services are good, bad. I don't know that right now, but what I can tell you is that trying to sell a house on your own or trying to do something without an agent, you're putting yourself, your finances at risk. You're just setting yourself up, in my opinion.
Well, I think we could touch on that really quickly. Mark, do you know the statistics of the dangers of people that sell for sale by owner? Are you familiar with any of those numbers?
Well, the one number that most of us are familiar with is it's still around 85%. 85% of for sale by owner sellers end up listing their home with a licensed real estate agent. And when you get into that process, there has to be an understanding that not only are you responsible for certain documentation as the seller, because you are, but you're responsible for your own showings, your own staging, whether or not you're going to provide a home warranty to the buyer, who's going to choose the title company, who gets a hold of, with the buyer's permission, who gets a hold of the buyer's lender and talks to their loan officer and says, hey, are we good to go here? How quickly can we close? There's so many details as it relates to transferring your property from yourself to a buyer, not to mention the standard average expenses associated with that. Those all need to be explained very clearly to a seller. And commissions is just one of them.
And also, how much money are you potentially leaving on the table? How are you pricing your property? Where are you getting that information from? How accurate is it? How are you marketing it? Are you using a professional photographer? Will it be listed on the MLS? Probably not. So there, a lot of times that 3 or 5% commission that they save by selling for sale by owner, they don't actually save it because they're missing it from the potential amount that they could have gotten for their property if it was marketed correctly and priced correctly.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. I promise you the daddy-daughter, mommy date night stuff, some ideas. We'll throw that out there. I was going to do it before the break. Let's do a quick break, literally less than 90 seconds. We'll be right back. That's the first thing we'll jump into. Thanks for listening to the AMP podcast. It's all part of the AMP program through Red One Realty, the agent mentorship platform, which you can learn more about by going to the website, agentmentorshipplatform.com. Our sponsors for the show, Red One Realty, Griffith Insurance Group, and Vault Title. Thanks for listening to the AMP podcast. We'll be back in 90 seconds. Start the clock.
The Griffith Insurance Group. They're more than just a family business. They're your family safety net. With over 34 years of combined experience, Scott and Jason know everyone is different. That's why they take the time to understand individual situations and craft their coverage that gives you peace of mind. Whether it's protecting your home, your vehicle, or your business, they're here to ensure that you're covered. At the Griffith Insurance Group, they're not just a father-son team. They're trusted partners in safeguarding your future. Experience the difference of a family-focused approach. Contact the Griffith Insurance Group today and let them help you secure your tomorrow. 740-936-4686 is the phone number, and online at griffithinsurance.net. That's griffithinsurance.net.
Red One Realty, an independent brokerage founded in 2019, is redefining what it means to support agents. With nearly 1,000 agents already on board, Red One Realty offers an unbeatable combination of value and opportunity, helping agents close more deals while keeping more of their hard-earned commissions. Red One Realty sets itself apart by its commitment to exceptional training, cutting-edge technology, and unmatched support. From intensive boot camp training to Survive and Thrive training series and the Next Level Agent Mentorship Program, they provide the tools and guidance to help agents grow their business. Plus, with the multiple layers of management always ready to assist, you'll never feel like you're navigating the real estate world alone. Discover why so many agents are choosing Red One Realty to take their career to new heights at joinredonerealty.com. That's joinredonerealty.com.
Hi guys, today's episode is sponsored by Vault Title. At Vault Title, they know your home is more than just four walls. It's your investment, your future, and your dream. With our dedicated team of experts, we provide secure, reliable title and closing services that protect your most valuable asset. From the first handshake to the final signature, Vault Title is here every step of the way, making sure your closing is seamless and stress-free. Vault Title, protecting your dream, safeguarding your future. When it comes to title services, trust that team that puts you first. Vault-title.com. That's VAULT-TITLE.com.
Welcome back to the AMP podcast. It is an extension of the AMP program through Red One Realty. You can learn more about that by going to agentmentorshipplatform.com. The AMP podcast is sponsored by Red One Realty, Griffith Insurance Group, and Vault Title. My name is James Mentor with Buckeye Media Services, joined here at the table by your host of the AMP podcast, the Doctor of Real Estate, Mark Dandrea, and Justin Humphreys of Humphreys Homes. Gentlemen, we're all fathers. We all have daughters. Mark, your daughter is now giving you some grandbabies, so that's a special time in your life as well. Justin, you have two daughters. My daughter is 13. Enjoy my daddy-daughter date nights. Our last one was Moana 2 and bowling. But I want to take a moment for those listening, just throw out some ideas. But share, gentlemen, if you would, please. Maybe your favorite daddy-daughter date night, or maybe a daddy-daughter-mommy date night. I do those now, too. I always post on my social media that I'm out with my ladies, and then I've got my wife and my daughter with me as well. But, Mark, let's start with you, sir.
You know, my daughter was very involved with horses, and not to be a downer, but we lost the horse that she rode to the state OJA championship about a week ago. So she was very involved with her mom growing up, very much so. However, transitioning into an adult, I'm actually using today's technology. It's called texting, spelled TEXTING. And James, what I love to do, because I'm always thinking about family and friends, very prayerful and blessed to be surrounded by people like Justin and the other leaders and you. And as it relates to my daughter, I text her once or twice a week and check in and see how she's doing. You know, our son-in-law is deployed. She just built a new home. Yes, I did assist her to purchase the land and purchase the house, thankfully. And she's got a lot on her plate. She's expecting their third child, our third grandchild. And so my dates, and I'm using air quotes now, with my daughter, even up to today, I text her and check in, ask how she's doing, and let her know privately exactly how I think about her and the woman and the mother and the wife that she's become. So for me, it's texting my daughter and staying in touch.
Very nice. So important. And yes, you do an amazing job of just those simple texts at the right time. Justin, how about you, sir?
Actually, Ashley and I were just scheduling it earlier today, but I volunteer a lot for their classroom activities. So at Annhurst Elementary School in Westerville, there in Annhurst Village where we live, they allow us to volunteer for every classroom event that happens. And I make it a point to. One of the benefits of being a self-employed marketer of real estate services is that I do have the flexibility in my schedule to allow for me to attend sporting events and classroom events and things like that. So I take advantage of every opportunity I get to do those. And I'll be doing the bingo at their Christmas party this coming Friday, I believe it is, from 2 to 3 p.m. So that, we have done the daddy-daughter dance. My oldest and I have gone to that, I think, once. But I do the classroom events, and I make it a point to try to coach in any of the sporting events that she's involved in as well. So I do take advantage of that, and that's one of the many reasons I love my job, is because it allows me the flexibility to be there for those events.
Agree 100%. Being there for events, I love what we do. We all have crazy jobs, crazy hours, I should say. Not crazy jobs, but there's some flexibility. We might have some long hours in order to have that flexibility, but the date nights are important. I even do date nights. I don't want to call them date nights with my son, but trying to block out time. Obviously, spring break with my son doing baseball. It's just him and I doing that trip. But setting aside proper time for your spouse, your partners, your kids, especially your daughters, so important.
One of the many tools and gifts that I've picked up from being in contact with Mark and being part of the AMP team is calendar blocking. And calendar blocking is, for me, is a necessity in every part of my life, not just professionally, but relationship-wise as well. You just touched on it. Those dates are very important, whether it be with your spouse or with the kids, the time you spend. So with our crazy schedules, it's very important for us to calendar block properly, not just our appointments and our showings and our closings, but our affection time and our daddy-daughter dates and our dates with our spouse. All that stuff is very important to keeping a healthy relationship. And that's a skill that I've improved on since being part of the AMP team and being around great leaders like Mark.
So very important. And yeah, the calendar blocking, I like that. Having these conversations on and off mic, we've talked a lot about calendar blocking, how important that is, one, for your relationships with your spouse, your significant other, your kids, of course, but making sure that you block out the right amount of time for home life, for work life, even for yourself. Making a small transition, and again, it will involve calendar blocking because obviously, as a professional, you need to block out some time, set aside some time for some marketing and networking opportunities, trying to expand. A term that we use a lot is circle of influence, putting yourself in the right place at the right time, developing those relationships within the community so people will look at you as a friend, but when the time arises and the need is there, they'll have you top of mind based upon you being in front of them, attending events, doing things, etc. What are some of those things that you encourage the AMP agents to become involved with, or how they handle and manage their marketing and their networking involvements with various organizations and within the community?
James, you just described what on the AMP team, you have two distinct silos that you're working within. One is sphere. These are people that already know you, like you, and trust you. And what you're now asking us about is chatting to and engaging with folks that do not already like us, know us, and trust us. The resources for that are just, they're everywhere. A lot of folks on our team set up home buying seminars. They're involved in their neighborhoods, and they set up the neighborhood garage sale. They're involved in their neighborhood's Facebook pages. As it relates to companies, many of our agents are connected with the HR departments with various corporations. So when you're connected with the HR department, the folks that are moving into or out of town are connected with that particular agent. So the resources that are available to a person who wants to build a real estate business and market real estate services go on forever and ever. Local Chamber of Commerce. Now, you notice that I'm mentioning all of these types of things, and those would generally be places where you're going to meet somebody that you don't know. And so that's a particular approach to our business that we focus on the AMP platform. That takes us down a particular road of engagement with those folks, which is slightly different, certainly when you first meet somebody, than the road we would go down for somebody that we've known for a long time, or that we've communicated with and grown some trust with over time. So it is important to engage with those types of resources as a new or experienced agent. As a matter of fact, no experienced agent would tell you that they have been as successful as they are, again, defining their success in whatever manner they choose to, without being involved with local businesses. We've got some agents that get involved with local small businesses and give them shout outs on their newsletter or on the postcards that they send out to their sphere in order to engage the local community with these smaller businesses. So there's a laundry list of ways that you could connect there, and you bring up a great point. It allows you to introduce yourself to a whole new group of people, and certainly with the approach we take, folks that are not necessarily connected with their family real estate agent need that kind of assistance and need that kind of outreach. So it's a great point.
Kind of a different angle, but a very similar approach when you're dealing with reaching out to businesses or like banks, And it might have changed, but I know at one point, sometimes that was the strategy. There would be banks that would be holding inventory, or maybe they had, property auctions. What are some of those organizations or affiliations or businesses that might prove to be fruitful for a real estate agent or someone just getting their feet wet and just getting started?
Yeah, there's a few out there. One that comes to mind particularly, my grandfather was a probate judge, so I know that probate, real estate and property get transferred a lot during probate transaction, or during probate processes, excuse me. So knowing probate attorneys, divorce attorneys, those are always good relationships to develop. One that we haven't talked about a lot, but that our broker was talking about today was wholesalers. So there's a whole other industry out there of wholesalers that have off-market properties as well that might be good opportunities for investor clients that you have, or if you're looking to get into flipping homes yourself. And then to go back to the previous point that you and Mark were discussing just a minute ago, I want to give a big shout out to Carly Lear and to Vault Title, because they assist Red One agents and AMP agents every day in prospecting to large groups of homes and zip codes through their geo farming process with postcards. So any Red One agent, any AMP agent can go to Vault Title that's there in our office and go to Carly Lear's office and say, hey, Carly, I'd like to send postcards to the entire zip code of 43081 or 43082. And Carly and Vault Title will not only pay for a portion of the cost associated, but they'll also help them with the design. They'll help them get the bulk mailing taken care of, and really help them out with that. So that's a great tool for prospecting to areas you might not be super familiar with, or you might not be engaged with yet. So shout out to Carly Lear and Vault Title for providing that service.
James, you mentioned banks earlier. Banks have asset managers, and those asset managers have files of homes that the bank is going to foreclose on, or they have foreclosed on. And those banks do have relationships with some local agents, and those local agents are the ones that are going to list those properties and help another owner own that property. So that exists. You're right to say that it was kind of an olden days thing where you might be able to establish a relationship with your local bank. Most of that's handled kind of hands off, and those relationships are pretty established. And I think that's why Justin mentioned the wholesaling piece. The wholesaling piece has really stepped in and filled that gap so that many agents can get engaged with wholesalers. And that kind of filled that gap between agents who could approach a bank in the good old days that in this particular market, those relationships already exist.
We do have one of the leaders on the AMP team, Gina Warner, who's been an incredible wealth of knowledge, a broker herself for a long time, ran a successful real estate team, and is now one of our leaders. She actually has experience being one of those realtors that has a relationship with various asset managers, and she taught a class on foreclosures maybe a month or two ago, where she discussed how she developed those relationships and what it takes to do that. So any of the AMP agents listening, I highly encourage you to go back and watch that training video if you're interested in that.
Sounds good. It is the AMP Podcast, an extension of the AMP program through Red One Realty, the agent mentorship platform, which you can also learn more about by going to the website, agentmentorshipplatform.com. Going to give our sponsors one more push. Red One Realty, Vault Title, and Griffith Insurance Group. And when we come back, our final question for Mark and Justin, best gift ever, and then we'll wrap up the show. It is the AMP Podcast. Thanks for listening.
Hi, guys. Today's episode is sponsored by Vault Title. At Vault Title, they know your home is more than just four walls. It's your investment, your future, and your dream. With our dedicated team of experts, we provide secure, reliable title and closing services that protect your most valuable asset. From the first handshake to the final signature, Vault Title is here every step of the way, making sure your closing is seamless and stress-free. Vault Title, protecting your dream, safeguarding your future. When it comes to title services, trust that team that puts you first. Vault-title.com. That's VAULT-TITLE.com.
Red One Realty, an independent brokerage founded in 2019, is redefining what it means to support agents. With nearly 1,000 agents already on board, Red One Realty offers an unbeatable combination of value and opportunity, helping agents close more deals while keeping more of their hard-earned commissions. Red One Realty sets itself apart by its commitment to exceptional training, cutting-edge technology, and unmatched support. From intensive boot camp training to Survive and Thrive training series and the Next Level Agent Mentorship Program, they provide the tools and guidance to help agents grow their business. Plus, with the multiple layers of management always ready to assist, you'll never feel like you're navigating the real estate world alone. Discover why so many agents are choosing Red One Realty to take their career to new heights at joinredonerealty.com. That's joinredonerealty.com.
The Griffith Insurance Group. They're more than just a family business. They're your family safety net. With over 34 years of combined experience, Scott and Jason know everyone is different. That's why they take the time to understand individual situations and craft their coverage that gives you peace of mind. Whether it's protecting your home, your vehicle, or your business, they're here to ensure that you're covered. At the Griffith Insurance Group, they're not just a father-son team. They're trusted partners in safeguarding your future. Experience the difference of a family-focused approach. Contact the Griffith Insurance Group today and let them help you secure your tomorrow. 740-936-4686 is the phone number, and online at griffithinsurance.net. That's griffithinsurance.net.
Thanks for listening to the AMP Podcast, part of the Agent Mentorship Platform. Jim, let's go ahead and give your contact information one more time. And for those of you listening, feel free to give Mark and or Justin a call anytime. They would be more than glad to talk with you about the industry if you're looking to become a Red One Realty agent for sure. Or if you're wanting to learn more about AMP, maybe to set up a time so that you can come in, audit a class, get a feel for what that looks like, understand what some of the tools and training might look like if you were indeed to become a Red One Realty agent. But you can audit it even if you're not a Red One Realty agent. So anyway, let's go with the contact information. Doctor, we'll lead with you, sir.
Sure, it's Mark Dandrea, Red One Realty, 614-395-6275. You can text me or call me, and my email is doctorofrealestate1@gmail.com, and that's spelled out DOCTOROFREALESTATE, the numeral 1@gmail.com. You can reach me anytime, James. I'd be glad to help.
And Justin?
You can reach me at 740-275-1277. My email is justin@humphreys-homes.com. And there's a ton of ways to reach out to me, but the best bet is just to give me a call, 740-275-1277.
And before we roll out our final question, thanks again to our sponsors, Red One Realty, Griffith Insurance Group, and Vault Title. Made it to our final question, which is the title of this week's episode, The Best Gift Ever. This can be a holiday gift, a birthday gift. It can be a gift that you gave, a gift that you received. Just looking for the best gift ever in your mind. Given, received, birthday, holidays, doesn't matter. What do you got? Justin?
I'll have to say given. I'm a big birthday guy. I make a big deal when it's people's birthdays because I don't feel like people get enough love on their birthdays. So the best birthday gift I ever gave was probably when I was working at Average Joe's. My partner Ashley was my boss at that time. We did not have a romantic relationship, but it was her birthday and nobody had celebrated it. I don't know how I found out it was her birthday, but I surprised her. I brought a cake and got the whole bar and the whole staff to gather around and join and sing happy birthday to her with candles and everything. And I think that's the reason that we ended up together, because she had such a good reaction to that birthday cake. So that's the best gift I think I've ever given. Received is probably my kids would probably be the best gift I've ever received. So those would be my answers.
Mark, I stalled to give you some more time. What do you got?
Man, James, you come up with some really tough questions. I mean, I'm 63 years old, brother. I've been giving and getting gifts forever. I'm going to pick one, but there are several. My wife and I were tickled to death. First of all, it's not a comment about parenting, but we kept our kids off of cell phones and away from cell phones until they were into their teens. We also kept them off the internet until they were older. And I think the best gift that I can remember, one Christmas, we bought the kids a computer for their loft where their bedrooms were. And I'll never forget the look on their eyes when I went up and Santa left it upstairs in the loft. And I went up and said, I think you guys got something else upstairs. I heard Santa rumbling around up there last night, and they started ripping that package open, and it was a new computer. So I just loved the joy in their eyes. They were very excited. And I could say that about a number of them, but that comes to mind in particular since I'm on the spot.
Well, and you just jarred me.
There you go.
If we're including Christmas,
yes.
I don't know what it would have been 1997 or 98. I would have been 8 or 9 years old. Getting the Nintendo 64 with the GoldenEye 007 video game was, now that you mentioned Christmas gifts, was probably, my kids are number one. That's probably number two for me.
It was a miracle, wasn't it? A
It
Christmas
was.
miracle.
Because my brother had one,
Yeah.
and I cried when I couldn't play it,
and
then I got one. So
we were 12. I was 12. My sister was, at the time, she would have been 14. And we couldn't help ourselves. Christmas morning, we were up early, as we always were. And she just couldn't keep it to herself. She told me that I didn't see it under the Christmas tree. It was a Swin crate, 5-speed, the pea green, just everything that you would want in a Schwinn back in the day. And it wasn't under the Christmas tree or near the Christmas tree. So I thought Santa had forgotten about me in that particular regard. And she gave it away, and it was downstairs, all put together, of course, and waiting for me. And I remember acting surprised for my mother. And moms are way too smart for their kids, and she knew. She even said, you knew it was down there. And I had to give up the ghost, and I, of course, pointed at my sister and blamed it on her. Anyway, I just thought about that gift, so I thought I'd share it.
And received?
That would probably be it, the Schwinn 5-speed. Christmases around our house as a kid were just wonderful. We did not have a lot of money. My parents just worked hard all year, saved hard all year, and Christmases were amazing. So there are dozens of them, and I'm really sorry I cannot categorize it as best. Christmases, our birthdays were just lovely, and we love to give as much as we like to get.
Very good. Well, for me, the best gift given had to be the 2019 Disney cruise for the family. I was very happy about that. I took great pride being able to get that organized and being able to put the funds together for it. It wasn't inexpensive. It was a costly trip, but well worth every penny. Best gift that I ever received, actually, there's a tie, and they're both dogs. When I was a kid in elementary school, getting up to go to school, I'll walk into the kitchen, probably to pack my lunch, and there was a big box, like a microwave box, or probably even like a dishwasher box. And I heard something crawling around, and then it barked, and I looked in there, and there was a beagle. My dad had gone out to get the newspaper, and the beagle was laying at the front door, outside, but at the front door. So he brought it inside, put it in the box. We later went around the neighborhood, found the owners. They said it kept running away, that we could have it. And so Nikki was my first dog that I ever had. And then my next best gift was my Rottweiler. I've asked for a Rottweiler for a long time. I've had Rottweilers at my parents' house, but my wife, she didn't want anything to do with them. We'll call it fear or whatever. She just uncomfortable around them. But she eventually gave in on my 50th birthday.
So
Yes.
Everybody I know that gets a Rottweiler is obsessed with Rottweilers. And I'm a big dog guy. We grew up with Labs because my grandfather hunted a lot. But the Roddy Rumble, that's a thing, right?
Definitely a thing.
They're very vocal. It might sound like a growl or like an aggressive thing, but that's just kind of them vocalizing their feelings. And, when they're happy, they're doing it. And so is the Roddy Rumble is an actual thing.
Yeah, 100%. And if you're not familiar with Rottweilers, it can be intimidating because even if you're rubbing and petting them, I could be kissing her, she could be growling while she's trying to lick me at the same time. And when she was a puppy, partly because I was so excited, I would literally, and we got her during COVID, so she didn't have other dogs, so I became her litter mate. I would wrestle with her. I would growl. I would put her fur in my mouth. I'd get rough with her and play with her like a dog. So we affectionately would growl at each other and still do.
Kudos to your wife. That is the definition of courage. Courage is defined by not an absence of fear, but it's just she was very courageous to get you that dog, especially with her level of fear. So kudos to your wife.
Now, does your wife love the dog now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were ready. She was going to get the next pick of like having a lab, which I like labs. But now, 2 weeks ago, she said, I'd have another one of these.
What's her name?
Maple.
Maple. Love that.
Well, that's because your Roddy has a loving and responsible owner. Me, with little kids, when I'm walking down the street, I got to be a little bit cautious about that because, A, my kids love dogs, so they're going to run up and I tell them, you got to ask permission, you got to be very, very careful, but they just want to get into a dog's fit, and do that whole thing. So I encourage them to be very cautious about it, but
as they should.
Around all dogs.
Yeah, and we're dog lovers, and labs. I've always liked labs because they're docile, obedient, and good hunting dogs, and they're awesome. But I love all dogs: Rottweilers, boxers, Huskies, all of them.
Yeah, it comes down on how you raise them. You can have some vicious poodles even. All right, gentlemen. Well, it has been fun. Let's say we do it again next week. On behalf of Mark Dandrea, the Doctor of Real Estate, Justin Humphreys of Humphreys Homes, I'm James Minter with Buckeye Media Services. Until next time, remember the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs. Thanks for listening to the AMP Podcast. Have a great week, fellas.
James, thank you, brother.
Thanks, James.